Thank you everyone for joining us today in our part 2 of building successful systems. I'm here with Curtis from Nicejob. We are happy to announce that we do have Alan Lee here. Alan Lee does use Markate, and I'll allow them to introduce themselves.
Hey guys, I am Alan Lee, owner of Honestly Handyman Services here in Sacramento, California, and I am here to learn some stuff and share some stuff on this webinar.
Great to have you, Alan. Thanks for joining. My name is Curtis Davey. I'm the partnerships manager here at Nicejob. We have been a longtime Markate partner. We have a great integration with Markate that allows mutual users to automatically follow up with their customers for reviews and referrals and grow your business through customer-driven growth. But that's not today's topic. That was the topic of part 1. So if you're interested in some more details about that, how you can build systems to grow your business using Markate and NiceJob solutions, check out part 1. But today, part 2 is going to be all about attracting, engaging, and retaining employees. So building a great team and building some great systems internally in your company so that you can really maximize your operations, continue to improve performance, not only at the company level, but at the individual employee level. And Alan has been gracious enough to share some of his great insights, some of his own rewards and recognition systems that he uses internally. So we're going to have some great insights for you today in terms of how you can really build an amazing system to attract employees, to engage them in place, to keep them really motivated and a part of the business, and then to reward and recognize those employees when they're doing outstanding work. Colin, anything to add on your side?
Yeah, I'm the sales leader here at Markate, and I'm very happy to be hosting this. This is definitely a great information for our Markate users. We're trying to make this as informational as possible. So we'll open to live questions at the end, and I encourage all of you to ask questions as much as possible.
Yes, please do. We want to make this an exchange of ideas, a exchange of topics. Certainly, if you have any questions about systems that Alan's implemented or any of the data or any of the recommendations that you see here today, fire in a question. That'll help not only us to really provide the value that you're looking for, but also anybody else watching probably has a similar question, and it'll help them to learn as well. So to preface the conversation that we're going to be having today, I wanted to talk a little bit about what does a 21st century employee look like. I've been able to compile some great data from around the web and from some other very, very smart companies, and you'll see the various sources that we pulled those from down below the graphics. But it's all about, what does a modern employee look like? And of course, depending on the type of business you operate and the types of employees that you're looking to attract, this might change a little bit differently, and the demographics and what sort of is important to them might change slightly, as is the complexity of implementing a system like this, depending on how big of a company you operate. But ultimately, I think these are very, very applicable to any company, SMB or very large enterprise. And that is, in today's modern workforce, in today's crazy world, all employees are looking for recognition. And they're looking for recognition in ways that are, rewarding to them, that is both from the top down from their manager as well as from peer to peer. You'll see some stats later on that really talk about how employee to employee recognition is also really valuable and really motivating for employees these days. Of course, everyone thinks that our employees want more money, but as the data supports here, it's really not the case. And there's some other data that we'll share later on. It's that they want more than ever. And I think this definitely skews a little bit more towards millennials. And, I'm late 30s and I'm technically a millennial. So that millennial field we always think of as very young people, but it also includes people in their late 30s and their mid 30s. Even Gen Zers these days, with sort of the change and the shift in the workplace culture, more and more employees are looking to work for a company that has a great recognition program, as we can see here. 72% say that's the highest, metric that they want to see in a business, to work for a business. Number 2 would be a clearly communicated strategy. So that's where your company goals should be very clearly dictated. They should ideally involve the employees in helping you to reach those goals. That is, of course, also tied with 70%. So that value proposition, the company values that you're looking to implement. Then we have the staff and corporate goals aligned. So how can an employee have very clear expectations and understandings of how their work is going to contribute to those goals, to that company vision, to those company values. And then, of course, the performance reviews. So if you're not doing a performance review right now, I highly recommend it. It's a great chance for you to check in with the employee on a quarterly basis, biannual basis, maybe even annual, up to you in terms of how often you host those. But it gives you and the employee that chance to connect one-on-one, see what they're feeling, how are they enjoying the rewards and recognition, what can you do better, are they feeling aligned with your company goals and the company values, and if not, you can take steps to address those. So obviously those are the top 5 And then down below, only just over 50% of employees said they want pay linked to corporate goals. So they want that pay for performance plan. They want more money based on the contributions they feel they're making. So surprisingly, you don't have to fork out a lot of money to really keep those employees rewarded, engaged, and recognized. It's the other intangible things. It's that relationship you hold with your employees that really makes the difference. And then, of course, last, we have training. So employees want to feel empowered and enabled to succeed in their role. And so by providing, quarterly, monthly opportunities to engage those customers or those employees, and make them feel like they're learning new skills and creating opportunities for them to continue to grow in their roles as employees, which I'm sure arises in home service businesses where a technician has just, been on the job for a few years. He's really done a lot of the various roles and all of the services you provide. He's probably looking for that new opportunity to grow, either be it a new advanced technique in the types of services you're providing, or even just to, maybe move up into a manager role. I'd love to hear from you, Alan. Does this jive with what you see with your employees in your business? Do you hear from other businesses that you work with and you support in your consulting gig, and that this is something that they're hearing from their employees, and that it's becoming more and more of a great way to build a great company and to build a profitable company by investing in your employees?
Yeah, definitely. It's really a lot easier to recognize your employees than most people make it out to be. They think that, oh, I got to give them some fancy big bonus or something like that. But really, most of the time, it's just, hey, great work on that job. Give me a high five or whatever it is. Really just being a decent human being and a good boss at the end of the day really goes a long way. And just giving someone an attaboy is really will change their week if you talk to them the right way.
So true. And we'll definitely see some data that supports that later on. But to give everyone watching a little idea of more about your business, tell them about the businesses you currently operate and how many employees you're working with, how long you've been in operations. This will give them an understanding of how your framework can be adapted and implemented in their business.
Yeah, so we currently operate quite a few different businesses, but our main business, Honestly Handyman, we have a total of 5 employees. We have a CSR, we have an estimator, a technician assistant, and 2 technicians. And then we also operate another business, which is the Handyman Journey coaching business, where we help and educate handyman businesses from all around the world how to, do exactly what we're teaching here today. How to, attract better employees, how to grow a better brand, and things like that. So really that's been, like we were talking about the recognition, that's been probably the biggest thing that has really motivated a lot of my employees in the past and present, is just basically being kind to them and telling them that they're doing a great job. And also, not being afraid to correct them when they need that as well, in a loving way.
Glad you brought that up. Yeah, it's important to have there be a balance, right? Because obviously if employees feel that they can just get everything, get rewarded, get recognized without there being any sort of corrections, as you said, for learning opportunities or things that they can do better. It's not all going to be, you just giving to your employees. The idea of really rewarding and recognizing your employees is for them to feel a part of the process, for them to feel trusted and empowered, so that if and when there comes a time when you need to reprimand them, correct them, help them improve in their operations, they're going to take that as a genuine care for the business and for them as employees, and not just harping on them for doing a bad job.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say being a part of the younger audience, entering the workforce, definitely, they definitely appreciate that more than kind of the wages that they're earning. So hopping in there and kind of, not solely focusing on the wages definitely helps them, that employee retention.
There you have it. A young millennial giving the straight facts in terms of what they appreciate. So in terms of company culture now, this webinar today is going to be all about, the employees' systems to engage and reward them. And by all means, that is a key contributor to your overall company culture. It's not the entirety of a company culture. So if you're thinking that you're going to try and define what is a company culture and how to build it in your system, we're going to touch on that, but it's not going to be all comprehensive. There are things that you'll need to develop on your own outside of this. Missions and values is number 1. If your company does not currently have a mission statement or company values that you want to show and communicate to your employees and to your customers, definitely take that away as an action item. It doesn't have to be anything complex. Here at NiceJob, it's all about helping our customers. So we want to help our customers grow by servicing them and providing them with solutions to make it easy for them to acquire new customers. It's always about coming up with innovative solutions to challenges that our small businesses and our customers face. And it's about doing so in a way that is doing good business on a human to human level. So how we can always go the extra mile, provide excellent support. It's about really providing, it's a people first approach, and that is one of our company values. Second on that list, representing your company culture, is recognition celebrations. We're going to be touching heavily on that. We're also going to be touching on how to approach employee performance. We're going to be touching on the rituals and norms, at least on the recognition and reward side, that'll factor into your company culture. And then a little bit on onboarding and training. We will not be discussing the physical workplace today, but it's interesting to see that that is a part of company culture. For all you business owners out there thinking that by building a wicked man cave or a great employee lounge at your shop or your office is going to really make or break a company culture, it's certainly a factor, but that money is probably spent better elsewhere, like on employee recognition, rewards, team building exercise, etc. Because as we see, those things are heavily weighted by employees much more than the space or sort of the pay. If you're thinking, okay, what does this all mean in terms of nuts and bolts? How does this affect productivity? How is this actually going to make my business better? Some great insights to share here is that 81% of employees will work harder when a boss shows them appreciation on a regular basis. 19% will no change, so no big deal there. But what I found was surprising is that, it is far more motivating, 60 or 22% more motivating than an employee being scared of losing a job. So if you're a leader who's been, regularly writing an employee up, or, having stern talks with them about how they need to improve their performance, or you might have to let them go, that's probably not going to be as rewarding and engaging and motivating to an employee as it would be just to give them a pat on the back at the times they're doing well. Of course, you'll need to have those hard conversations. You'll need to let them know when they're not pulling their weight. But if you can skew more on the positive side and on the attaboy and the pat on the back side than you do on the we need to have a serious chat side, you're going to see much more motivation. And then as we see with that middle graph, by being more demanding, by slamming your hand on the table or in your monthly meetings, chewing people out for not doing enough job, that is going to be the least motivating factor out of all of these. And that comes from Glassdoor, which is a great source for employees to vent about what they like and don't like about a company. And then that definitely factors into the actual your ability to acquire talent and then maintain that talent. As we all know, it's very costly for small businesses to replace employees. I've seen various numbers float around there, but between $5,000 to $10,000, depending on your revenue and depending on the amount of time you spend on training. But it's also just lost time and resources. I know all of you small business owners out there struggle and hate it when an employee quits, because you have to then go through that HR motion of finding a new employee, writing a new job description, or just having those interviews and spending that time onboarding that employee when you could be out there having that employee make you money. So if you're regularly acknowledging and recognizing your employees, they are 63% less likely to leave their job this year. And they are 9% extremely likely to change jobs the next year. So you're reducing that by a ton. If you never recognize your employees, they are 43% more likely to be looking for a job this year. So just a small item, a small, part of your week and part of your month in terms of how you reward and recognize employees, but will pay massive dividends in terms of their productivity, their motivation, and the less likelihood of you having to hire somebody else. Alan, also would love your insight on this. Have you had this experience? How brutal is it for you when you have to replace an employee? And how much has sort of turnover, negatively or positively impacted your business?
Yeah, it can be huge, definitely depending on the size of your business. If you only have one technician out there and you, for some reason, have to fire that technician or you lose that technician, that can be super detrimental, because that means that you're going to be the one that has to take and fill those shoes. Really, whatever position it is, you have to fill that shoe as the CEO. And really, that just takes a whole bunch of your time and a whole bunch of your money. And then just to get back on your heels to actually, find some time to interview a new guy, hire a new guy, train a new guy. It's really, you could be looking at, 6 months to a year of kind of unnormal time where you're not actually making your full source of income. by losing an employee. So it's definitely very, very important to make sure that you have good leadership skills and you are, implementing, kind of good motivation and appreciation tactics to your employees so that, you don't lose them and you don't have to kind of have those hard conversations every once in a while. So it's definitely very important, very hard if you lose an employee.
Do you have any insights into the difference between, when you're looking to expand and hire a new employee, it's basically just about onboarding and training and of course finding the right candidate. When you're losing an employee though, what's the difference in time frame or in, amount of resources that it would take between those two scenarios?
Yeah, so the way that I often teach it is if you're looking to hire and expand and grow and hire a new employee, you kind of lean into that role. So as the CEO, you lean into that role, you start performing that role. And then so when you hire the new guy, he basically you're already ready to train him because you're doing that role as a second, whatever it is, a second technician assistant, second technician, third technician, second estimator, whatever it is. You're already doing that role. So it's kind of organic of him just to kind of mesh with you and the training just to launch right off. Whereas if you lose that first technician and you are kind of making a step back and you have to work in the technician role, it's a lot harder to train the person correctly because you have to focus on actually bringing in that income rather than just doing that supportive role to train that new guy. So you have to think about both bringing in the full income and training the new guy. So there's a huge difference. I would say depending on the role, you could probably bring in a new guy, and have him up and going within 2-3 weeks if it's kind of a new expansion role. But if someone has left or you've had to fire someone and you had to make a step back, again, like I said before, it could take 6 months to a year before things kind of get running as smoothly as you want them to.
Yeah, massive difference there. So it's clear that, losing an employee is far more detrimental, which means if you can spend some time and obviously, building a company culture, it doesn't happen in a day, it doesn't happen in a week. But by spending that time for you as a CEO and as a company leader, I think it's going to pay massive dividends over the years because it's a system that once created, it'll take small little tweaks and improvements. But the heaviest lift, the biggest work that's required is initially just putting those systems together, putting these plans in place. And hopefully by the end of this webinar, you'll have some great ideas in terms of how you can do so.
I would say it even trickles down all the way to the customer. The better you treat your employees, the better, the happier they're going to be doing the job for the customer. So it makes their experience a lot better. And then, of course, going back to getting those reviews. So, the higher the review because they really enjoyed being serviced by your technician.
So true. The number of reviews that we see from happy customers who have had an experience with a happy employee, it comes out in the content of that review. They'll share the name of that employee. They'll talk about how amazing they were to work with, how pleasant they were, in their home, providing that service and that experience. And I think, your employees are going to feel that in any recognition you give through reviews in your weekly or monthly meetings or as part of your award and recognition program. For them to see a 5-star review with their name in it, talking about how amazing of a job they did, there's no better feeling as an employee. And I know it from experience, and I know I've seen it and heard it from other businesses that we work with, that, that is a real warm and fuzzy moment that they can feel proud of themselves. They can feel proud for working for an amazing company that supports that and recognizes that. And it just pays massive dividends in terms of not only their performances, to Colin's point, but I think also when training other employees or creating a culture amongst employees, they all want to have that, they all want to feel that, and they all strive for that on a regular basis.
Yeah, and to top it off, with technologies nowadays like Markate and NiceJob, you really don't have to kind of hover over them and pay super close attention to your employees. You can kind of track that through commission, through Markate, or even the reviews that customers leave on NiceJob. So
exactly. And as we see, this all trickles down to more money. The first stat here that I wanted to include is that companies with a highly engaged workforce are 21% more profitable. And that comes from Gallup, which is a very reputable surveying organization. So just by having those happy employees who are doing great work and feeling a part of the process, you're going to see more money. You're going to see higher ticket costs or higher ticket averages, and you're going to see a lot more revenue coming in. I love these other ones as well. 79% of workers say an increase in recognition awards would make them more loyal. That's going to decrease your costs. It's going to increase your speed of efficiencies, the speed of training. 60% of employees would prefer a regular praise and thanks over a 10% pay increase with no recognition. I thought that was massive, and that goes back to all of our misconceptions about employees expecting more money as, you know, the main reason for doing good work or for tenure or the amount of time they've worked for you, things like that. It's actually inverse, you know, just giving them regular pats on the back, giving them those one-off rewards and those cool team building activities. Well, they prefer that immensely, massively over just a little bit of a pay increase. So reduce the amount of money you're paying your employees, put a little bit more of that budget into reward recognitions and team building, and they probably won't be mad about it. 69% of employees say recognition rewards keep them in their current job. Again, a great way to keep from that turnover, from keeping your best employees from moving on. I love this one as well. 92% of workers more likely to repeat an action they would receive recognition for. Alan, would you say this is true in your business? If you're giving that high five and that pat on the back and that attaboy to an employee for doing something great or for doing something above and beyond, do you see that repeating?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, because they really, I mean, as human beings, right? We want to be noticed. We want to, you know, we want to be loved at the end of the day, you know? So it's definitely very important to, you know, give that person an attaboy, and it definitely will be repeated because they like that feeling of, you know, being recognized, being noticed, and ultimately being loved. So very important.
Awesome. And I love this last one because, you know, Alan does a great job of recognizing people, his employees from the top down. But if you can create a system where employees have the ability to do this peer to peer, you know, maybe it's at the end of a day, every employee submits a ticket or a note of like another employee that they saw do something great today. Or it's a monthly shout out where, you know, there's a running board of ideas or of things that have been noticed by an employee that month that all the other employees get to vote on. Just any way they can do that. Peer-to-peer recognition is 35% more likely to have a positive impact on performance than manager-only recognition. So if you can think of any ways for your peers, for the colleagues and the teammates to reward and recognize each other, even in small ways, but that you can celebrate as a company, it'll pay massive dividends. So now we'll get into recruiting a little bit. It's going to be, how do you attract great employees, which we know is always a challenge for small business owners. It's the #1 ranked item and the struggle that every major business owner encounters. And I used this quote in previous presentations before, but I love it for this one as well because it is so, so true. You know, the iron rule is you get what you reward for. So if you want ants, put sugar on the floor. If you want great employees, you need to speak to them and advertise the role in a way that's going to give them all the warm and fuzzies and the intention and the expectation that you're going to be providing a great company culture where they can really feel trusted and empowered and have a great opportunity to just enjoy the work that they're doing for a company that does great work and whose vision and goals align with their own. It's safe to say that in today's day and era, with the struggles that small business owners face in attracting talent, that you should always be approaching recruitment and hiring with an always be recruiting mentality. And I know it's easier said than done, but you can do certain things, and these are some of the ideas below here that will outline, you know, ways that you can always be recruiting in a way so that if a qualified or a motivated employee approaches you to work for you because they saw the now hiring sign or they saw this job description that you have up on your website, it's going to give you a much bigger pipeline, a much bigger funnel to then, you know, compare those candidates, qualify those candidates, and then have just a continuous pipeline of new employees that you potentially use for expansion or for replacing existing employees, which will certainly reduce that amount of time from 6 months to a year, hopefully to, you know, a month or two. So ways you can do that. You can keep rehiring on your truck wraps and signage. You know, you can be just a small little button or a small little graphic, or it can be a big part of your design. Either way, you see this with a lot of the major companies doing this. Amazon on their trucks do this. UPS on their trucks do this. Delivery driver trucks always typically have hiring. I also see this from contractors and home service businesses driving around town. It's a great way for people stuck in traffic or standing on the side of the road to think about your company as a potential place they could go work, and for them to know that they can reach out at any time with a resume, with an intention to work for you. Same thing with business cards or postcards. Tommy Mello, owner of A1 Service Garage Doors, building a massive company. I think it's 200 million in revenue right now, going up towards $1 billion right now. He has this always be recruiting mentality, and he shared this in a talk at an event I was at recently. And he keeps these cards handy so that if he's ever in the post office or a grocery store, or just very places that you wouldn't necessarily expect to find great employees. If you see somebody who's done a great job with customer success or customer service, or the way they've communicated to a customer who's having a meltdown, there's always ways, there's always times you recognize an employee in another business and say, they are amazing. You know, their personality type, those soft skills that they bring to the job, and the way they've been able to interact with customers, that is a great time for you to say, let me just go drop a card and a little nudge and say, if you're ever looking for a new role, here's my company card, give me a call, I would love to hire you. You know, I saw what you did with that customer, that was incredible. So offer jobs to people you meet who demonstrate great service, who demonstrate skills that align with your company values. Tommy does this all the time, whether he's at a car wash or a restaurant or, you know, his grocery store. If you see somebody who he thinks has those skills, those intangibles that are going to relate to his company values or to providing a great customer experience, he approaches them with a job offer. And, you know, maybe he's not actually hiring at the moment. Maybe it's just an opportunity for that candidate to reach out in a month or two when they're ready. But, you know, even if you don't have an available position, keep doing it, because if they do reach out and they do express interest in that job, that is a great employee or a great potential candidate, because you know they are motivated, they are interested, they love the approach that you took to them, and they recognize that reward and that recognition that you're already implementing in your systems before they even become an employee. So for those great candidates that you do attract, keep them on file, follow up with them regularly, and if you do have, you know, opportunities coming down the pipeline, maybe just reach out to them early with a text message or an email and say, hey, I don't have a role right now, but if you're looking for a role in the next few months, we're going to be hiring some spots. Alan, do you use this in any of your day-to-day?
Oh yeah, this is huge because there's two main things that you want to look for when you hire someone. You know, there's skills and then there's character. Skills you can train. Character is a lot harder to train. So I love that aspect, and I've heard about it from many different coaches, is that even when you're at a restaurant and you see someone who's just Johnny on the spot, they are just doing everything that they see needs to be done, man, go up and talk to that person. They may not even be in your same industry. They may be young and they may not know anything about handyman work or whatever, but the character is really what you're going after. Because if you get someone that is that devoted to their job and has the character and the integrity to do the work that needs to be done, you can teach all the skill you want to that person in the world. So it's going to be great. So I would highly recommend, you know, like you said, keeping those cards on you handy, just being prepared to talk to anyone and everyone that you see that would be a great fit for your business as you see it. I think another thing that we do that works out pretty well is we had our marketing guy, at Handyman Marketing Pros. We had him put basically a now hiring, you know, piece on our website, where basically someone can go on there, they can find all of our positions on there, they can read about it, they can actually submit a resume, submit their application there online. So that's a really cool thing to just say, you know, hey, go to, you know, honestlyhandyman.com/employers or whatever it's called, now hiring. It's definitely a very good thing to keep in your back pocket so that you can always find the best talent.
That's awesome. I love that you use the phrase Johnny on the spot, because that's an expression I use often. And I love that you touched on character, because I framed that as a soft skill when I was talking about this. And for those of you that aren't familiar with this, soft skills are those sort of intangibles. They're, you know, great communication, you know, internal motivation, things that are not necessarily skills that you can learn, like the skills that are required for a home service job, but those intangibles. Are they great people? Are they great communicators? Do they have that sort of that empathy required for great customer service? The hard skills on the other side are those, you know, direct, tangible skills. They know how to run a line. They know how to do electrician work. They know how to build scaffolding, whatever it might be, actual, you know, hard skills that can be taught and learned in a school, for example. So when we're talking about attracting employees, the job descriptions are absolutely key. You know, you're almost always going to be using a job description to attract a new employee, but how you develop that job description, I'd love you to think about different ways to do that, because whether you're looking to attract a college student or potentially a grizzled old veteran, you're probably going to use very different language and very different job descriptions to attract those types of candidates. So lesson or, you know, exercise number one for this is, what type of employee is your ideal employee for each role? Are they young? Are they old? Are they experienced? Are they, you know, whatever? And those are the criteria I think you should think about when you're trying to draft these job descriptions, Because when a candidate reads your job description, they should feel excited about the job. They should feel excited not necessarily about the role and service they'll be providing, but the company as a whole. Does the company outline the visions and the goals that you're going to be striving for in that role? Does it outline how you support your employees? As we saw with the previous stats, it's not going to be necessarily about the money they're making. It's going to be, do they feel they're working for a company whose goals align with their own, that they're going to feel trusted and rewarded and empowered? So focus on those aspects in your job description as much or more so, and of course it depends on the role, than the hard skills required to complete this job. Of course, you want somebody with previous experience in that role, but in today's employment marketplace, or with today's millennial kids, you probably want to skew a little bit more towards the company culture and towards the aspects of your business that are going to be really the day-to-day, how you support them and how you work with them and recognize them. Be transparent about pay expectations and bonuses. Even if you're not going to be paying them the most amount compared to other companies in the space or in your industry or in your area, if you can lean a little bit more on those company values, on the reward and recognition program, I know that's going to really help your job description stand out and give them all the more reason to apply. And then, of course, leverage the experience of your existing best employees. So reviews that you collect from your company should not just be from customers overall, but they can also be from your employees. So maybe after the first month, maybe after the first year, you provide those existing and current team members to provide a review. How would you rate our company? 4 or 5 stars? What would you say about what it's like to work here? If you can get those reviews from them, if you can get those stories and those testimonials about times that they've been supported in their role, or how you, as a business owner, have gone above and beyond for them as employees and for human beings, leverage those in your job descriptions and in your marketing, because I know not only employees will love to see that, but customers will love to see that. And I think you'll see a higher quality of candidates start coming to your door a lot more often with that. And those hard skills that we touched on, if the hard skills are trainable, focus on the soft skills that can't be trained. The positive attitude, the reliability, the kindness, things that you think will really stand out and make them really, really valuable employees to your company in all of the ways that you don't, that don't rely on just providing that skill. Because as Alan said, those skills are all trainable.
Yep. Yes, I think this is huge. This is something that Michael Gerber touches on a lot in the E-Myth Revisited, which if you haven't read that book, you need to read that book. A lot of people think that in order to find the best person for their particular job is they need to find the most qualified individual, right? So say if you're looking for, a contractor, right, to hire, as a technician, you want to find the guy that's been doing it for, 40 years, that he has the most experience. Well, with that, it's also going to come a really high paycheck. So you're going to have to pay that person a lot of money to retain that person. But in reality, you don't really need the person with the most skills, with the most knowledge about the particular job. You need the person with the best character. You need the person with the best, those hard skills, like you said, that or the soft skills that can't be trained, right? Those are the things that you need to focus on. Those are the things that are really going to make or break, you as a business, and your job description is really what's going to depict that when that possible future employee is looking at that job description to see if they want to work for you or not, and really just outlining and portraying what your business has to offer and what your business is all about.
Yeah, the real first touch point any potential candidate or any potential future employee will have with your business is typically going to be the job description. So use this as your first entry point, your first opportunity to portray what your company culture is going to be all about, because the second touch point is going to be that interview. It's going to be when you're sitting down with that employee or that potential candidate to really hammer out and try to figure out, are they going to be a good fit not only to our team, but to our company culture? And do they have those hard and soft skills that I'm looking for to really be able to do the job well and to be somebody that I think I can see working here for a long time. So when you're a team leader or a member of the team, or when you're attracting or interviewing candidates, you'll want to invite a team member or a member of the team to join and share their experiences firsthand. It doesn't necessarily have to be the first interview, but at some point in the stage, I highly recommend bringing in an existing team member to just be a fly on the wall, or to be somebody that the candidate can ask questions of, or to be a second pair of eyes for you. As a team leader and as a company owner, you're probably very busy. You probably have a very narrow idea of what a customer or what a potential candidate could look like. So by bringing in that second pair of eyes, by somebody, one of your best employees, an employee you trust, who's been in the job and who can sort of evaluate that employee with some questions of their own, that's going to give you a great understanding of, is this employee, this candidate going to fit in well with my team? Because a great question you can ask that employee after the fact is, would this team member, would this candidate be somebody that you want to work with, and can you see them being a great fit beside you in the truck, or working with you in the office and supporting you there?
It also displays that to that candidate that you do cherish your employees, their experience on it, and that you cherish how they view the situation. So kind of
great point. Yeah, great point, Colin. So then I would also recommend asking them more about their life history than work histories. Also, especially if they don't have a ton of history and you're going to be evaluating them more on soft skills than hard skills, get them to start talking about themselves, about their life, what they like, how they interact with their family, how they, spend time with friends. That's going to give you a ton of great insight into who they are as a person, who they are as a character. And if, the way they talk about things, or the way they have, told the story has some red flags for you, they're probably valid. There's probably some things in there you'll want to ask some more probing questions about, or some things you'll want to dig a little bit deeper in to see if you can pull some of that facade off the surface and really dig down into who that person is. Because as we all know, a person's true character is exposed in moments of trials and tribulations. So I think if you can sort of poke at them a little bit, if you can get some better understanding of who they are as a person, those will all bleed through into the interview.
Mm-hmm.
And then also have the person interview you, give them ample time to ask you a ton of questions, not only about the company, but who you are as a leader. This will make you a better leader. It'll give you a better understanding of how you can support that employee. And for any of those employees who are asking the hard or the smart questions, it'll show you that they're very keen on the role, on the company, and that they're keen to make an impact.
Yep, I think that's pretty good. And when you're definitely talking about interviewing people, most people come into an interview kind of like clammed up, right? They're kind of, wondering what kind of questions they're going to be asked. They're going to be grilled about their work history, things like that. If you could kind of, lighten the load a little bit and just make it more like a conversation, you're going to learn a lot more about that person than you would by asking these probing questions, because by just getting them to open up is going to be huge. Just take some time, have them share with you their story, how they got to where they are right now, and kind of where they want to go. Maybe you could share a little bit about yourself too. But I think just lightening up the atmosphere is definitely important when you're talking about interviewing.
And I can speak from my own experience, is that, looking at my resume, it looks a little bit funny. I have quite an eclectic career path. So on paper, it might look a lot different in my mind than I think it would to a hirer or recruiter. And giving that employee the opportunity to tell that story about their career history, I think will give you a lot of insight into, what's gone into that resume. Because on paper, it might look a bit weird. There might be some gaps. There might be some questionable things. But if you can really give them the opportunity to tell that story, you'll probably find it's not as sinister. They might have had a bad experience, or just some mitigating circumstances to have made their life and their career path a little bit different from others, or from ideal candidates. So now we're moving on from the attracting the employees and how to bring in new talent. We're talking a little bit more about how to build some systems and foundations in your company to build a great company culture. So as I mentioned earlier on, you want to share those goals and vision. You want to create a story that employees can buy into. Do you want to be the best rated company in your area? Do you want to hit $100 million in revenue? Do you want to give every employee who's joined you early on the power to grow with your team and create a lifelong career with this company? Those are all ideas. Those are all visions and goals that you can communicate with employees that I think will go a long way to getting them to buy into that vision and really want to support it come hell or high water. Another one you could possibly do, and maybe this isn't for everybody, but open up the books, let them know and let them see what your costs and your profits and your margins are. If they have an understanding, if they have this vision that you're a fat cat boss who's doing no work but taking all the profits, that's probably going to erode motivation and trust and engagement with that employee. So if you can be very upfront with them about, here's how much money we made this month, here's how much our salaries cost, here's how much our marketing costs are, here's how much our supplies costs are. Therefore, we really need your help to push this margin, this service with a higher profit margin, or we really need you to be really efficient with your driving, or not get into so many accidents because it's killing us to have to buy a new truck every time. Those are all things that will really help the employee understand how their actions, their work on the day-to-day really impacts the company as a whole, and helps them understand what's going to go into that opportunity for them to make more money, or for them to get that big reward. Of course, you want to reward them for achieving those goals. So if you set a target of 100K of MRR this month, or of new revenue this month, and they smash that target or they meet that target, give them a reward, give them part of that profit that you're making. It doesn't have to be something significant. It doesn't have to be a pay bump or a bonus directly to each employee. It can be a pool that gets funneled into something for the entire team to take advantage of for team building activities, or a better end of year party or something like that. But any sort of small incremental gains that the company and the employees have helped you reach as a company should trickle down to those employees. Keeping them informed, so having those weekly and monthly meetings to update them on progress towards financial goals, or specific initiatives or special projects you're working on, will keep them part of the process. Will keep them motivated and focused on that task at hand, so they can really help you to achieve targets. Because as we all know, productivity is best when it's focused. So if you have everyone pulling in the same direction, you're going to hit those targets sooner, and you're going to have it be a lot more efficient for everybody. And then tier building plus peer-to-peer recognition plus their own input into the business is going to really equal a highly engaged employee that's likely to stick around for a lot longer.
Just to touch
Do
on
you use any of these best practices in your system, Alan?
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So definitely, like the last sentence there, you said input. I think getting the employees' input is probably one of the biggest things that you could do, because if you've created all these things but no one really cares about them, then what the heck's the point, right? If you have a fancy pool table and some cool couches and a TV, but no one wants to do that's in your business, then it's all worthwhile. It's all worth nothing. So it's very important to get some input from your employees to make sure that you are providing things that help encourage them, help lift them up, and help create that company culture that ultimately that they are looking for.
Right on.
I'd also say, don't fall into the habit of sticking to weekly or monthly meetings as the only time that you talk to your employees. I would say keep an open communication channel with them, like every single day that you're working with them, and let them know that you're available for that communication.
Nice. Yeah, totally agree. If you are planning or currently do team meetings, I'm sure you've all seen a few of them where they might run a bit longer, or you have a couple of the guys with their faces in their hands, and how to keep meetings upbeat. I'm especially a big purveyor of less meetings is better, but shorter meetings are better. And if we are doing a longer meeting, let's make it something where it's really engaging and productive. So I always encourage our employees, our customers, even our teams internally to make it upbeat. Play music, get everyone involved, and set the example, set the tone of, as a leader, how you want these meetings to move. If you're standing and you're active, I think you'll see your employees engage with you a lot more than if you're sitting and just sort of droning on about a document or a system or a process you're trying to implement. Review the previous week or month. This is definitely something that a lot of business owners do. And Jennifer Calhoun and her husband, Matt, who own GI Junk Removal, do a great job of this. They host a weekly meeting. In those weekly meetings, they give high fives and recognition to the top 3 reviews they've received that week. So who's gotten a 5-star review, who's gotten an amazing customer testimonial, high five, pat on the back, big recognition, big cheer from the team, and of course a reward at the end of that month. If there's a learning opportunity or a 1-star or a negative star review that came in, address it. How did we screw up? Let's not place blame necessarily, but let's look at this as a holistic picture. As a company, how did this circumstance come to be from every single department, every single level? How did we fix it? And hopefully you already did address and implement a solution to address it, and to engage that employer, that customer, in a solution to address their negative experience. And then what can we learn from it? Reviews are great for this. So whether you're looking at the positive reviews in the week or the negative reviews in the week, and this is also something that Jennifer and Matt do in their GI Junk Removal business, is that if they did get a negative review, how do we learn from this? What can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again? And let's move on as a team so that we're all learning from this negative experience to ensure it doesn't happen again. And then of course, if you achieved a goal, celebrate it. Very straightforward, very simple. How you celebrate it is up to you, and it'll be part of the definition of your company culture. But take the time, take the 5 minutes and cheer about it. And if you are planning a shorter meeting, I would say keep it short, keep it active, have everyone stand on their feet, do some jumping jacks, be a part of the, build some energy around this meeting. And if it's going to be a longer one, make it social. So if it's going to be, 30 plus minutes, build some time in there for talking about your weekends. What's going on in your life right now? How did you think about this sports game or that cool activity or the Oscars that just happened? Make it a little bit more of engaging so that everybody has a chance to share, everyone has a chance to add their input, and it becomes a bit more of a team building activity than it does just a straight boring facts meeting. Tracking employee performance, of course, will be part of this. Building an employee engagement program and a recognition program. You can't recognize or reward employees until you can understand what they've done right or wrong that week. So one solution that we have built in with our integration with Nicejob and Markate is the employee leaderboard. Anytime you close a job in Markate or assign an employee to a job in Markate, if that job is closed and that's the trigger you're using to trigger the Nicejob review request, that employee will automatically be carried over to any review received from that job booking. So we can show you in our employee leaderboard how many reviews each employee has received, what rating that review was, and how they've done in a specific time period. So you can review each week, each month, each year, and you can see if that employee is moving the needle up or down in the positive direction for either the number of reviews they're receiving or the quality and the rating of those reviews they're receiving. There's a ton of other ways that you can track performance in a business. Alan, do you have any specifics that you do in Handyman?
Yeah, definitely tracking reviews is huge, but also just, performance in general, right? We do a lot of tracking on build hours, and we're going to kind of get in that tier and into a little bit, but that's kind of our main source of tracking is really build hours and efficiency. And then reviews are obviously huge. I had one thing that I wanted to mention, kind of went with the last slide here. We just started this at our last kind of end of the year party where we do something called the review game, where I choose different reviews that are mentioned. They specifically mention certain employees, and I want to get one review for every single employee, and basically just take some time while everyone's watching and listening, reading that review out loud and mentioning that employee, in person into that review, and then just going up, giving them a handshake. And then you can also throw something in that makes it a little bit, sweetens the pot a little bit. You could give them $100 bill or $50 bill, whatever it is, like kind of like hey, this is your prize here for the review game. And it kind of makes a cool company atmosphere. Everyone listens to the different reviews that are, read about the different employees, and just, ultimately makes people feel good.
That's awesome. Love that review game thing. In terms of rewarding your employees, so now we're getting into what does recognition and rewards look like? And Alan will dig into his system a little bit in a second. But if you're thinking it's all about cash, it's not. As we see here, 33% would prefer gifts as recognition. And that, of course, can include cash. It can include a gift card. It can include something special for them and their families. Whatever it is, it's a gift of some sorts. Right below that, though, and I thought this was really telling, is words of affirmation. Just the fact that you're giving that employee a shout out, the fact that you're giving them that high five, that handshake is huge. Combined with gifts, 65% of your employees would prefer just to get a handshake and a gift of some sort. That's huge. 25% is also really interesting, is that acts of service. So this you can say is, maybe time off, or, an opportunity to support one of their charities, or you're contributing towards their kids' Boy Scouts fundraising or anything like that. There's a ton of different ways that acts of service can come into play, but that shows, and this is a great choice or opportunity for you to create more, team building activities and company culture, is by doing something as a company. Maybe each employee, each month or each quarter gets to choose one initiative that you support as a company. So whether it's, building a home with Homes for Humanity, or going down to the local shelter and serving meals. There's tons of different things you can do as a company, but it gives you and your team a chance to bond over, the interests of your employees. And then, of course, quality time and handshakes, high five, very straightforward, but it's fantastic to see that, it doesn't take a lot for employees to feel recognized. So now we'll dig in. Alan, the floor is yours. Tell us all about the amazing program that you built at Honestly Handyman for how you reward and recognize your employees.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get into it. First thing I want to do is I want to talk to the audience here for a second. I want to know if you have employees in your handyman business, or whatever type of business you operate. If you have employees, go ahead and drop us drop us a thumbs up here in the chat. Let me know that you have some employees, because this is definitely some stuff that you want to listen to. You definitely want to implement these, even if you don't have employees, but you're thinking about getting employees down the road. This is stuff that you want to start thinking about that you can implement. Really, the whole goal of this part of this webinar isn't so much that, hey, this is what you need to implement, but I want you to start thinking, and I want it to start racking your brain of different things that you can implement in your business to basically accomplish the same goals. So we have many different commissions and bonuses throughout our business based on different positions. And this one here, the first slide, is basically our technician bonus commission. The way that we incentivize our technicians is based on billed hours. So technicians will receive commission bonuses based on hours billed while working independently from the trainer. So that's very important to put that little caveat in there, because if you are training someone and actively, you say you're doing more of the work than them because they're still in the training position, they're not necessarily making that bonus off of those hours that you're actually doing. So it's actually, they get those billed hours incentive when they're working separate from you as the trainer. Technicians will receive extra dollars per hour for the hours billed that week. So basically, billed hours are hours billed at a client's location based on the hours laid out on the work order for that job. I know a lot of people might be like, well, Alan, how do we know billed hours, right? We don't charge by the hour. Well, that's a whole nother conversation. That's something that is a huge topic around the home service industry, but definitely I would recommend to not charge by the hour, but everything needs to be broken down to an hourly rate so that you know that you are covering all of your expenses and actually making a profit at the end of the day. But again, that's a whole different webinar. So for example, if the technician bills 1 to 5 billed hours that week, they get $1 more per hour on that whole week, that whole 40 hours that they work that week. If they bill 5.1 to 10 hours that week, then they get an extra $3 an hour. If they bill 10.1 hours to 15 hours billed that week, they get a $5 more per hour that week. So there's two different things you want to think about there. There's billed hours, and then there's actually clocked hours. Clocked hours are going to be different than billed hours because no one is 100% efficient. So even though someone's out there working 40 hours a week, they're not going to be billing 40 hours for your business. Usually the type of efficiency rate is somewhere around 80%. So somewhere around, for every 8-hour day, you're somewhere around 5.5 to 6 billed hours per day.
It's a great stat, 80%.
And then the next thing for marketing commission. So this is kind of open to all employees. The last one was just for our technicians. We have basically door hangers, we have brochures, we have a bunch of different, handprint marketing flyers that our employees can pass out to our clients in their homes. So all employees are bonuses on the number of door hangers hung for marketing purposes. So at the beginning of each day, they grab a stack of door hangers out of our shop and basically keep them in the truck. And if they have some free time throughout the day, they go ahead and hang those door hangers on doors just around the houses that they're working on. So the employees are given 25 cents per door hanger hung. So this is a great way for employees to be rewarded for doing some additional marketing for you in neighborhoods that they visit, right? They're already in the neighborhood. Say they've already cleaned up for the job. They have an extra 5 minutes. They can go pass out, 5 or 10 door hangers and make a little bit extra money. And then number 3, review commissions. So this would be, again, for all employees. The thought behind this particular one is you could have it kind of a pooled bonus for all employees, so that it incentivizes all the employees to help gather in that good review. So all employees would receive a bonus commission per review, as long as the client leaves the review within 2 days of the technician completing the service at their home. So the commission scale could be something like, per week, if you get 1 review in a week, each employee gets $5 that week. If you get 2 reviews, each employee gets $13 that week. If you get 5 reviews, each employee gets $43 that week. And the way that the reason why it's tiered like that is to incentivize people to get more. So if you get 1 review, it's worth $5, but 2 reviews is actually worth, $8. So it actually incentivizes you to get the more reviews you can in that week. And the whole thought behind pooling it to all employees is really, so if the technician, say, doesn't have time to ask the client, say, because we use Nicejob and Markate. So once we mark that invoice as paid, Nicejob sends out a review request to our client, and basically they have the opportunity to leave a review. But if our technician is there, he can say, hey, just so you know, once this is marked as paid, you're going to be getting an email or you're going to be getting a text message asking for a review. If you could leave me a review, that would be fantastic. It would mean the world to me, whatever it is. So that gives the technician the ability to do that, the technician assistant the ability to do that, or the estimator. So depending on kind of who has the free time to do it at that moment, they're all working together to gather that review and accomplish the ultimate goal.
I love both of these things. I just wanted to shout them out because the marketing commissions thing is fantastic. If I'm a technician and I've just completed the job and I have a little bit of spare time between that job and the next one, all I have to do is, put 10 door hangers on the neighbors' houses around there, and I've just paid for my coffee that day. If I can do that 3-4 times in a day, I've just paid for lunch. It's a great way for employees to make small contributions to the company that should pay massive dividends in the long run, because the 25 cents you're paying for that one door hanger to that employee could mean booking $1,000 job and a recurring customer that you not have for weeks and months. And then the review commissions, of course, I'm glad you touched on priming the customer, because now this gives all you business owners out there a reason to encourage and to train your employees to prime that customer. And we won't get too much into that. We talked about it in part 1. It's essentially doing exactly what Alan said, of just getting that employee to mention to the customer before they leave the home how important reviews are to them as a company and to them as employees.
And then it is definitely important to find ways to reward your employees in different roles. Since your office manager and salespeople don't really have the same opportunities as employees in the field. So that, again, is you have to think about different ways to incentivize different employees, because not everyone's a technician and can make those build hours. So for our salespeople, what we do, for instance, is our estimator is paid hourly. But he has the ability to make a bonus commission of 2% on all gross sales if he sells more than $5,000 per week. And again, these numbers can be changed to fit your business. But this is personally what we do in our business, and it works out really well. It incentivizes, our sales estimator to basically sell some jobs because he's getting a little bit cut of the pie. Yeah. So, okay. Sorry, I was reading that because it says in all cases, Alan. So it's kind of weird. I'm reading that in a different person here. So yeah, I share this information up front with all my new employees, so they know that if they put the work in and do a nice job, they can benefit financially along with the company. Because ultimately, that's really the kind of persona that I'm trying to create in my business, is not just that all of my employees can work really hard and I can go buy some awesome mansion and a big boat, right? I want to be able to, I want to make more money, but I want them to make more money as I'm making more money. Like, that's ultimately the goal, is for the business to provide for everyone involved. And that also, one huge thing about our core principles and our brand is creating a better community. So we also do a lot where we give back to our community. And so I think just helping everyone involved in the whole situation is a lot better than just, me buying a mansion and a big boat. So that wouldn't be too fun.
And that's not to say that you won't eventually be able to buy that mansion and a big boat. It just it's involving your employees in a way that they're all pulling in the same direction, so that when you do get to that point, you'll know that your employees have helped do it along with you, and that they themselves have benefited from the hard work they've put into it.
Right. One example that I really absolutely love is there's a local heating and air and plumbing, and they do electrical now. They bought a whole bunch of different companies, but they're here local to me. And the original owner, when he built up enough money, he bought a cabin up in Lake Tahoe, which is a beautiful lake up here. And he didn't just keep it for himself, but he made it where each employee could go up there and spend a week up there with their family, each year, obviously, until they got so big and that didn't work anymore. But it's really cool just being able to provide for our employees in much different ways, because we can talk all day about how to make their work life better, but how do we make their home life better? And that is really when you get down to actually helping people out and changing lives, is like buying a cabin and allowing people to go stay in it for free for a week or a weekend. Like, that's huge. People don't do that. That's just beautiful. So
no better way to build that trust with your employees than opening your home to them, or even if it's a vacation home that they help that you buy. You know, that creates that trust and that engagement and that willingness to go above and beyond for a business owner because of how open he's been with the employees. And I love that phrase about it's not helping them at work, it's helping them in their home life as well.
Yep, definitely. And ultimately every company is different. You know, each employee is different and has different preferences. So you need to figure out a budget for rewarding employees and engaging your employees to understand how and when they would like to be rewarded and recognized. You know, so the best way to find out what motivates your employee is simply just to ask them. I love you know, one of my first business coaches, they taught me that, you know, there's ultimately kind of 4 different things that motivate people. Most people are motivated by one of 4 different things, right? This is a primary thing. So they may be motivated by multiples of these things, but primarily they're going to have one of these things. Either a challenge, which could equal money, facts and figures, which would equal data and goals, helping people, which would be a charity, and fun, which would just be a company party, having a dance party at the end of the day, whatever you need to do. So there's ultimately those 4 different ways to ultimately motivate an employee. So it's very, very, very important to figure out which way your specific employee feels motivated so that you can motivate them in that way. Because if they're motivated by, say, money or a challenge, and you're trying to motivate them by, hey, let's give to, you know, this local charity, like that's not much of a challenge for them. You know, not to say that they're a bad person for not being motivated first and foremost by a charity. They just want that challenge. They want to feel challenged in what they do. And it's very important to focus on that and ultimately cater your bonuses towards what motivates your employees, and they will want to stick around for the atmosphere that you create. That's ultimately what's most important. And at the end of the day, you are the leader and you need to set the bar. So you can't expect your employees to be motivated. You can't expect your employees to like what they're doing if you're not starting out being motivated, if you're not showing enthusiasm about the work that you're doing. So I think that those are some very important things that you need to focus on.
That's incredible, Alan. Thank you so much for sharing insights into how you've operated your business, how you continue to do great work for not only your company as a whole, but for your employees in their personal and professional lives. For all you audience members, this has been a packed hour of content. Hopefully you found it very insightful, useful in building your own company culture and your own systems internally. Hopefully I didn't talk more than I should have, although I feel like I had, so apologies for me droning on as much as I did. I'll share one last message and we'll get into some FAQs and some Q&A. For anybody seeing this webinar, for anybody interested in setting up a system like Alan, we have 75% off the first month of any NiceJob subscription. This covers our reviews product that Alan uses, as well as our convert websites that come with a conversion rate guarantee, where we guarantee to beat your last website's conversion rate by 10%, or it's free until it does. So if you're looking to grow your business, if you're looking to implement great new systems, Nicejob and Markate are here to help. And with our automated solutions, we can power all of this super cost effectively and super easily, so you can spend more time building systems and operations to grow your businesses. So Colin, how are we doing for questions? I know we're a bit over time, but if people are still in the audience and we have some questions to answer, let's dig in.
So it looks like we have Alistair James. He didn't really ask a question, but if he does have any questions, we'd love to hear him. I just wanted to note on Alan's presentation there, it really is great to have one of our users on one of our Facebook Lives to kind of get that insight. And I really do love the way that you've tackled the commission and really diversifying it between salespeople and then your technicians and whatnot. So that's really a fantastic way to kind of handle that. But other than that, we haven't had anything come through beforehand. So I'll just give it a couple of seconds for James to see if he has anything.
Well, this recording will be available in the Markate group as soon as it's finished processing. We'll be sharing snippets in the coming weeks. But of course, if you have any questions for myself, for Colin, for Alan, don't hesitate to reach out to us on Facebook. The link to sign up to NiceJob will be available in the group as well. So if you're interested in taking advantage of that offer, it'll be readily available for you. And just mention, or if you sign up for yourself and talk to one of our team members, just mention that you saw it on this webinar and they will enable a discount for you that way.
Perfect. Yeah, so it looks like we haven't got any questions. Barbara does say thank you very much. So you're very welcome, Barbara. If anyone's watching this post live, you can leave any questions in the post, and we're really happy to answer it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Colin, thanks for organizing. Alan, thanks for joining, for all your great insights. From me and the team at Nicejob, thank you very much, and have yourselves a great day and a wonderful spring.
Alan, again, thank you so much. It was very nice meeting you.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Colin. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.